In this video, we are going to discuss factoring trinomials. Remember that means 3 terms, using the box method. So there are multiple ways to factor trinomials. This is one of the ways. You're going to take your notes in your booklet on page 4. We actually will not complete it in this video. We'll finish it in class. We'll do a couple examples now, a couple examples tomorrow. So let's start by just kind of writing out our steps, which the steps may not make total sense to you until after we work a couple of examples. And we're going to start by talking about when do we use this method. So we use the box method when you have a trinomial in standard form. So standard form means that your highest exponent comes first, and then it goes in decreasing order from there. And remember, trinomial just means that we have 3 terms. So first we're going to draw a box, and we're going to put our first and last terms into the box. We're going to multiply a times c, so we're going to multiply the coefficient of the first with the constant. And what we're going to look for is factors of ac that add to b. Now that's important. What we're going to do is use those to rewrite our middle term in the 2 empty spots in the box. Then, just like in grouping, we pull out the greatest common factor from each row, each column. We do a quick multiply to check, and we want to pay attention to signs when we do that check. And then we write our answer as a product of 2 binomials. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of examples. Our standard ax squared plus bx plus c. Again, what we're looking for is to multiply to ac and add to b. I'm going to use this little chart over and over again to help us find our numbers. I'm actually going to start down here on example 4. And I'm doing that because it's all positive, so I don't have to think about my signs on this one. I know it's going to all be positive. And I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So first, draw a box. Your first and your last terms go in the first and the last. Remember, we're undoing our multiplication here. That's why we're using the box. We're just going to undo. We're going to start with the inside and pull the GCF out to get the outside. Now in this case, A is 3 and C is 2. So we want to multiply to 3 times 2, which is 6. And then we want to add to our middle term, which is 7. Notice that I'm not paying attention to the x's right now. I'm just looking at the coefficients, just the numbers. And what I'm going to do is list everything that multiplies to 6. Not many things there. So 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. We also want it to add to 7. So 1 and 6 are going to be what we use. 1 plus 6 is 7. 2 and 3 doesn't work because 2 plus 3 equals 5. Now we're going to rewrite this middle term using the 1 and the 6. Now be careful because we don't just want 1 and 6. Remember, what we're trying to do is get it to be a 7x. So we're going to use 1x and 6x. So notice now what I have inside the box is the same as my trinomial. 3x squared plus 7x plus 2. Now I'm going to pull the GCF out of each row, each column. So for the first row, 3x squared and 1x, they have an x in common. For the first column, 3x squared and 6x, they have a 3 and an x in common. The 1x and the 2 just has a 1 in common. The 6x and the 2 just has a 2 in common. I'm going to do a quick multiplication. So 3x times x is 3x squared. 1 times x is 1x. 3x times 2 is 6x. 1 times 2 is 2. So I know it multiplies correctly. So that means that our factored form is 3x plus 1 times x plus 2. And that's my answer. Okay, let's take a look. We're going to come back up, and we are going to look at example 1. And then example 2 and 3 we'll do in class tomorrow. So again, I want to start by drawing the box. First and last term goes in. So 2x squared negative 15. Pay attention to your signs here. The positives and negatives are very important. Then I'm going to multiply a times c. So 2 times negative 15 is negative 30. So I want to add to negative 30. Sorry, I want to multiply to negative 30. And I want to add to b, which is 1. Now notice on this one, it's not all going to be positive, so I'm going to have to pay more attention here. I'm going to list everything that multiplies to 30. So 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 4 doesn't go, and 5 times 6. Now I want to think about my signs. Because it's multiplying to a negative, I know one of them is going to be positive and one of them is going to be negative. So that's the only way to multiply to a negative. Since I want it to add to a positive, my larger one's going to be positive. Okay? So I'm going to change all my smaller numbers to negatives. So negative 1 times 30 multiplies to negative 30 but does not add to 1. Negative 2 times 15 multiplies to negative 30 but does not add to 1. Negative 3 times 10 multiplies to negative 30, adds to 10, does not, or adds to 7, does not work. Negative 5 times 6 multiplies to negative 30, and negative 5 plus 6 adds to 1. So I'm going to use the negative 5 and the 6, and again, we're trying to make it into that term, so we're going to put that x in there. Now what I have in the box is equivalent to my trinomial here. It's the same as that 2x squared plus 1x minus 15. So at this point, I can pull out the GCF of each row, each column. So first row just has an x in common. First column has a 2 and an x. Second column has a negative 5. Since they're both negative, we're going to call it a negative there. And then the second row just has a 3. I'm going to do quick multiplication. 2x times x is 2x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. 2x times 3 is 6x. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Since it all multiplied correctly, my final answer is 2x minus 5 times x plus 3. Now again, we're going to do example 2 and 3 in class tomorrow, but you have a couple of practice problems to do in the meantime. Good luck!